Hey guys, welcome back to Armchair Conversations with Rob. Yeah, I know. Why am I wearing a hood, right? Well, I had thought about some things and I had talked to some people, and there's some people out there that uh, don't necessarily understand why I put out my talks basically without a script and just kind of raw. Well, there's a couple reasons for that. One of the reasons that I'm putting this stuff out like this is just to ascertain interest in what I'm doing. Um, And I think there are some people that are going to be like me. They probably enjoy sitting around having conversations with people about all kinds of subjects. Um, I am sure that there's at least a few people out there that like their conversations raw and unscripted. It doesn't mean that I won't ever do anything scripted, but right now I'm doing this for a couple reasons. Some of which are kind of personal to me. Um, I show up in this get up with the hood over my head and all this kind of foolishness because I want to get to a point where I don't have any kind of anxiety about my image, or get hung up in the trying to be perfect bullshit that most of us fall for, where we have to be perfect and we have to give the perfect presentation and we have to have the perfect hair and we have to have the perfect pitch and tone and we never can stumble or say okay. It doesn't mean that eventually some point I won't do those things, but right now I want to get my face out there, maybe get a little commentary. So those of you that's actually been watching the things that I finally released after all this time, just to conquer my fears, like them, don't like them, comment on them. I do actually take the time to read the comments, both positive and negative, because I need to get into the understanding that, again, ain't got to be perfect, ain't got to be smooth, and don't have to be anything but myself. And that's what I'm encouraging you to do, is be nothing but yourself. But that also means that you have to be bold enough and brave enough to understand that you will have to endure the slings and arrows, as well as the flowers and kisses of people who both like you, don't like what you're doing, don't haven't evolved into a place where they can be critical in a helping way, or complimentary in a helping way, or backhandedly complimentary, whatever. Um, so tonight I'm kind of talking about things like not having to be perfect in your image. That is the biggest reason why I do what I do the way I'm doing it right now, because I don't want to ever get to a point where I am so afraid that because I didn't put it out the right way, or I didn't say the right words, or I didn't have the right motions, and I didn't have my flip charts here and my hand motions there and my voguing or whatever the hell it is, that I shouldn't be out there, that I shouldn't be talking to people, that I don't have something to say. And maybe by me doing this way, at least in the start, as I get better, I definitely don't pretend that I don't want to have like nice conversations and improve with people. But maybe if I put it out there and I'm brave, that'll encourage other people to do the same. And then maybe we can start being authentic and being real and making mistakes, but still being valuable and viable. And so that's kind of something that's kind of near and dear to my heart that I kind of mentioned tonight because, again, this is a way of me conquering my fears about what people are going to say and what people are going to do and whether people will like it or not like it. There's always going to be somebody that don't like it. Okay, my grandmother and them used to say all the time, they talked about Jesus. What makes you think they're going to talk about you? Well, again, it doesn't mean that I don't have a sense of excellence or want one, but I also have to realize that 90% of the time, you're going to be just yourself. You're not really going to be your public image, even if you're famous. Okay? Yes, you make a movie and you swing from the trees and you do all your stuff and you shoot the bad guys and you win the game. But when you go home, you're just you. And if you ain't comfortable with that, then you have a very, very sad life. So this one's about being comfortable with yourself and being okay to make mistakes and being okay to put it out there and not be perfect and still realize that you have importance and value. So this one's going to be mainly encouragement to get out there and do whatever it is you want to do, and be whoever it is you want to be. Because Because again, we need all kinds of people to keep the polarity in this world and keep the world moving. Um, if you know anything about circuits, electrical circuits, you know that there has to be a positive end and a negative end, and they have to be in enough of proximity or designed in a way to continue making the circuit go. And you may have switches where you stop the current at different points along the way, but generally speaking, because of the polarity is why that circuit makes its circuit, um, and why things flow in different directions. You have to have supply and demand. You have to have light and dark, beauty and ugliness. One defines the other, and it's okay to accept them both. And it's something that we don't always do. We want to have the perfect everything, and we don't want to see anything ugly, and we don't want to see anything bad, or we don't want to deal with the things that we have to deal with in terms of things that we don't like, even about, especially about ourselves. I know, even especially about ourselves. And I'm hoping to get over that, and hoping to be okay with being just myself, and being liked or disliked, or nobody cares. It doesn't really, I don't want to have that be such a powerful influence over me that I don't get out there and I don't say what I need to say. Um, so, I encourage all of you to do the same. Get out there, do dumb stuff, have one hand stuck in your jacket, okay? Do whatever it takes to get you to an understanding that you don't have to be perfect, and you're still okay, and you still have value, and you still have something to give to the world. That's a big one for me, because there's a part of me that has the perfectionist tendencies that wants everything to look GQ fabulous and never make a mistake and never say and I don't think that that's of as much use based on my observations of how I interact with people in the world. I think they get more out of me when I'm just myself and I'm like this, and I'm not perfect, and I'm just talking, and I'm just enjoying conversation with them and being supportive and positive, and blessing everything that I can with the words that I speak. It's something that I read once a long time ago. Can't even remember exactly where, but also in the Bible it talks about speaking health to people's bones, and I remember that one. Um, and so I try to find a way to have some kind of uplifting conversation, ready and handy for those who are willing. I'm flexible enough in my approach that I can talk negative stuff with you too, but I realize that sometimes you have to be able to just say nice things to people, and you can't always hold grudges about the past, or withhold love and care from people just because you don't like something about them, their hair, their clothes, their style, their smile. you know you gotta be willing to open up and let some love and positivity out, because what you put out comes back to you multiplied, and what you think about expands too. And that's absolutely one that we'll do someday soon, because what you think pretty much determines what you are, and what you're going to have, and who you're going to be, and where you're going to go. And I'm a big, big believer in that. So anyway, that was my point behind coming out in the hood and throwing these things out there just like they are. And I encourage you to do the same, and don't be perfect, because you might be surprised. Most of the things that have turned out to be awesome that I can remember in my era of life were big fat failures. Um, the two that come to mind immediately is digital technology, and look at what we have, and a silly little one, Post-it notes. Remember Post-it notes? Post-it notes were a failure by the chemist to make a glue that lasts forever. And we have Post-it notes now out of his failure, and they are everywhere. You can get them any place just about that sells any kind of paper products that have to do with writing, or, school, office. The digital technology, here's what I consider a useless fact, and I may be wrong, and if I am, I'm sure somebody will comment on it. But if I recall correctly, the digital technology was invented by the Swiss. Yeah, Swiss, the watchmaker extraordinaires of their day. And you know what they did with it? They looked at it and said, this doesn't have any gears in it. Psh, nobody's going to like this. We make watches. And they sold the technology to Seiko. And then Seiko, I don't know what else happened after that, but basically now damn near everything we have is digital in some way, shape, or form, or is going to be, if it isn't already. But that was something that they created that they considered a failure. So you're going to be out there, and some people are going to consider what you do a failure, but it's going to mean something to somebody, and somebody gives a damn about it and cares about it and will like it. So get over your fears about being perfect, being a certain way before you put your message out there, before you open up and let your light shine. Um, get over it and get out there, because somebody needs to hear what you have to say. Um, and we all are at different levels. So, somebody who's very beginning might need to hear what I have to say, that then sparks them to go and look up a Jim Rohn or Tony Robbins or Les Brown or any of the people that I've listened to over the years. Um, I'm trying to think of who actually got me started in this vein, and it had to been either Les Brown, who I admire very much because his messages are very emotional and they move me deeply. But I also admire Jim Rohn a great deal because he had a very matter of fact delivery, and he was very practical. And those are the first two people I think I ever heard speak in the ways that I'm aspiring to now. And then after that, those guys turned me on, and I ended up listening to Tony Robbins. And I listened to a lot of his stuff over the early parts of when Unlimited Power and things were out. And I still sometimes catch some of his things when I get the chance. And then he helped me to turn on and be willing to be open to absorb information from people like Eric Thomas and Marcy Shimoff and Rhonda Byrne, who wrote The Secret. Wallace D. Wattles, The Science of Getting Rich, which I recommend everybody um, reads that book at some point. It's about 80 pages long. It doesn't take a ton. It was written in 1910 by Wallace D. Wattles. It's called The Science of Getting Rich. And 90% of that book has nothing to do with money. However, he attests to and affirms that if you master the other principles in there, then money will come. And trust me, I'm going to try it. So anyway, don't want to keep you long. Just want to throw that out there as an idea and an understanding as to why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I want to break the cycle of fear, and I want to break the idea that everybody who's out there that has some useful information has to deliver it in such a perfectly manicured way. So again, guys, I thank you. Right now for sharing my armchair, and I encourage and thank you for getting out there and putting your stuff out there and letting it be raw and unscripted and real, just like life. I hope you guys have a blessed evening, and I'm just grateful to share my armchair with you. Good night.